Are you thinking of moving to Boise, Idaho? Well, the most important decision is the suburb that you choose. So today we're gonna go over Kuna, Idaho, but we're not just gonna talk about it. We're gonna drive around, show you what Kuna looks like, walk around, and give you all the information you need to know so you can decide if Kuna is gonna be the right suburb for you or the wrong one. This will be a video like you have never seen on Kuna, Idaho. This is not just gonna be a driving tour. We're gonna walk around. We're gonna give you all of the ins and outs of Kuna and give you the information that you actually need to know. As a Kuna local myself, there are some things that I can speak to, and there are some major reasons that I have chosen Kuna as the place to live. There are also some things that we don't like about it as much. So today we're gonna go through the real pros and cons of living in Kuna. We're gonna talk commutes, traffic, housing, taxes, all of the things that come with the small town charm. And we're gonna stop along the way at some major things in Kuna to give you a real example of what it would be like to live in Kuna, not just a talking head video. That way, by the end of this video, you guys are going to know for you if Kuna is the suburb that you can choose when moving to Boise. Okay, now we're sitting outside. We're actually in my neighborhood. So this is the community that I live in. We're gonna start heading into Kuna, but first, this is a channel for those of you moving to Boise, Idaho. And like I said in the introduction, picking your suburb is the most important part. Finding a house is usually the easy part, and most builders and criteria you can find in any suburb. But this is a channel for those of you moving to Boise who want real information that's actually gonna be beneficial for you. I'm a real estate agent. I'm also a Boise local, so I've lived here my whole life. I live in Kuna right now. Throughout my life, I've lived in every single suburb for the most part. And so I have valuable insights that are going to help you make the best decision for you and your family, because what's important to me is building relationships, helping those of you who are trying to get to Idaho for a better life, but also to help you determine if Boise might not be right for you. I want what's best for you guys. I'm not gonna be a transactional real estate agent. And when you guys reach out to me, you get me. I'm the one that's gonna be showing you houses, doing negotiation, answering your questions. You get my personal phone number. So know that as we go through it, I'm not gonna pass you off to an agent on my team. You get me. If you watch me and trust me, then you should get me as your agent. But let's jump into Kuna. Right now, like I said, we're in Ashton Estates, so it's a Hayden Homes community, one of my favorite lower end builders. And we'll touch on some of these communities, some of my favorites as we go through the city of Kuna. But we're gonna be doing that mix of driving. We're gonna walk through some areas of Kuna that are my favorite to give you guys a true understanding of what it would actually be like to live in Kuna. So from Ashton Estates, what's nice is now we're driving into part of the new city center. So we have D&P Supply right here to the right, which you guys will see, and I'm gonna talk about some of these shops. But to give you guys just a general idea of where we're at, Kuna is south of Boise. And when you look at it on a map, it does look like you're really far away from the city of Boise itself. So even though it looks far away from Boise, it really only is about 15 minutes to Meridian and about 30 to 35 minutes to downtown Boise. And the reason for that is where we're at right now. So this road right here, Meridian Road, or South Highway 69, goes to Meridian. It's a 55 speed limit. The traffic's almost never bad. And so you have a really fast, quick shot into everything else in Boise. So sometimes there's a misconception where people think they look at a map when they're trying to move to Boise, they see Kuna and they think, oh, it's just too far. But want you guys to have a general idea of where we're at. That way, as we're driving, you guys can kind of get an idea of distances. And we're hopefully going to be able to give you guys actual timestamps of how far things are in Kuna. Because Kuna is a small town, but it's big enough that you still have things. So excited to show you that. But right here, we're in D&B's parking lot. So for those of you who don't know what D&B is, it's similar to like a Murdoch's, or we also have a Tractor Supply across the way, but very similar to that, where you have outdoor equipment, you have, there's guns in there that you can buy. So they have a clothing section, so lots of things. And it's right next to this community, Ashton Estates. And Ashton Estates with Hayden Homes right there. You have homes from 400,000 all the way up to the mid 500,000s. Hayden Homes is a really amazing builder. Then right from D&B Supply, we're gonna head over, I'm gonna drive you by some of these shops because just want to show you guys how close a lot of these things are together, and you'll see throughout this entire video more and more just how close things are. So right here, this Treasure Valley Veterinary Hospital right here, they have an amazing vet in here. We take our golden retriever Finn, and maybe we'll pop up a photo of him. He goes there, loves it. The vet's absolutely awesome. Jersey Mike's, Cafe Rio, my personal favorite, but living in this community behind here is kind of dangerous. Then you have Panda right here, and then down the way a little ways you have Dirty Dough, which is a new cookie place similar to Crumble. And then there's also a taco, or a Del Taco on this side of Meridian Road is what it's called. So when you look on a map, it'll say South Highway 69, I believe, and most people just refer to it as Meridian Road. Then from the community, which is to my left, we're gonna just hop right across Meridian Road and head to Ridley's, which is pretty much the main grocery store. There is two, so we're gonna show you both of those. But as we're doing that, one thing that every single one of you guys moving here gets wrong is how to say Kuna. So it looks like Kuna, but it is actually Kuna, like with a Q. So that is how you say Kuna. And as you guys can see, Meridian Road right here has a high speed limit, but just right across the street, like all of your things in Kuna are right here centralized, and we're not even to the downtown area. So you have Arby's, Taco Bell, Wendy's over there, Tractor Supply Company. You have McDonald's to our right here. You have Great Clips, there's a pizza place. There's a really good local kind of dairy ice cream spot. So you can buy like organic milk, ice cream. You can get shakes there. There's also a Pokerita place. So they have boba tea. They also have sushi burritos or just sushi. So just lots of things right here in Kuna. And almost every single community in Kuna is gonna be 5, sometimes 2 minutes away. The farthest you're gonna get is 10 minutes away. And that's if you're living in Valor, which a lot of you guys have seen me tour Valor. Then right next to all of this, you have Ace Hardware, which we're gonna see if we can jump in really quick to show you because it's connected to Ridley's in the grocery store. So I'm gonna park real quick and see if we can get you inside, because in Ace Hardware, I wanna show you guys some things, or at least talk about some things that comes with not only a small town, but just living in Boise. So we'll see what we can do and hop inside. Okay, now we're out of the car, but I wanna show you guys something with Kuna and just Boise in general that's at the Ace Hardware. And one quick thing to note is, as I leave my car, I don't lock it. So we have the drone in there, we have nice camera equipment, and in a place like Kuna especially, this is a smaller suburb of Boise. Boise in general is just so safe that you don't have to worry. I literally don't worry at all. If you ask my wife, she might say something different, but she grew up in Omaha, so I think it gets ingrained in you, which I see with a lot of you guys moving from California and Washington too. But this would be the Ridley's in Kuna. I'd say most people end up shopping at Ridley's, and then your Ace Hardware is right here. And there's something I want to show you in Ace Hardware that I've talked about in other videos, but want to show you exactly what I'm talking about. And again, you have the shopping centers here. You have communities right across the street. Behind Ridley's, you have a Buy Mart. And then across from Ridley's behind us over that direction, they're developing some more commercial space. So they're gonna have what is looking like a grocery outlet, which is a really cool grocery store because it's a lot cheaper, but you still get nice produce. And then they're supposed to have a Panera Bread and some other commercial properties there. And then they're also developing stuff in the back. But let's walk into Ace Hardware and show you guys what I'm talking about. So with Ace, this is what I wanted to point out is in Kuna, for those of you that don't know what this is tannerite. So it's an explosive target, and it's sitting here just like on a candy shelf, right? And then in the background too, you have guns for sale. If I wanted to in this video, I could literally go up, buy a gun, and walk out of here in 20, 30 minutes. So super easy. And then on the way out, you go get, your grill or some paint, and just grab an explosive target as you're walking out of the store. And then we'll show you guys a quick glimpse of Ridley's. So your classic grocery store, nothing too crazy. We might show you guys, I mean, it's pretty basic. It's like Albertsons, or those of you who might have like a Safeway, very similar to that. But that is Ace Hardware and Ridley's. So let's go hop back in the car and show you guys the rest of a small town suburb of Boise. So now we're leaving Ridley's now, and we're gonna drive a little bit more now. I'm gonna drive you through some of my favorite neighborhoods. There's also some big things I want you guys to actually see in person, and it's one of my favorite parts of living in Kuna, so you guys are gonna see that. And then of course stay for the end, where we're gonna end in the downtown area of Kuna. That's one of my favorites, but it's also, again, next door to probably the worst part of Kuna, or one of the worst parts. And then as we're driving, I'm just gonna talk and give you guys as much information on Kuna. But now that we're leaving Ridley's, we are driving by the Buy Mart, and then off here to the right is a gas station that is at the center of town. And that development that I talked about, where Grocery Outlet and Panera Bread will be, is right here across the street. To the left of this, you have a fully built out Toll Brothers community called Sterling Ranch, one of the top communities. And then we're heading, right now we're facing east. So if you take a left right here on Meridian Road, that will take you down to the interstate. It's about a 12-minute drive. And then if you take a right, which we're gonna take, it'll actually wrap around to downtown Kuna, but we're gonna hold off on that because I wanna show you guys some really cool aspects of Kuna, some of my favorite things. And turning right here on Meridian Road. So again, we're driving by D&B Supply, and you guys should get a better idea now of, on both the right and left side right here is all of the new developments in Kuna. So you have all of the restaurants we talked about at the beginning, you have all of the stores, and it's all right here in one area. And then in the end of the video, I'll show you the other part of Kuna that's just outside of downtown that has the rest of it. But now we're heading south, so we'll drive to one of my favorite communities in all of Kuna. But as you guys have seen throughout this, just the small town aspect of Kuna, being able to buy tannerite in the Ace Hardware is always just a hilarious thing to talk about, and just cool. Even as we were walking in and asking for permission from the manager to film, he literally was laughing at us and being like, yeah, of course, like go for it. And then joking with us, you know, don't break anything. And then me and Grant, we're talking. Grant's from California, who's behind the camera. He's the new marketing manager here on the channel. You guys might have seen him on the other channel, but he was talking about how we were talking about how in California, nobody would have been that easygoing about it. They have too many things to worry about. So just more and more of the small town feel with people. Now we're kind of turning a right. So this will head you to downtown if you continue down Meridian Road, but want to hang a left here. And you guys might be able to see a glimpse of, you know, I mean, the trees that are along Indian Creek. There's foothills you can see. One thing that's nice about Kuna too, that in some of these drone shots you'll be able to see, is you have the Owyhee Mountains to the south. And right here, you guys can probably see just out of the car, is the mountains in Boise. So in Kuna, you get a better view of both mountains. You're not super close to either of them, but you just have mountains all around you, which I love. You just don't get that in the northern section of Boise nearly as much. Now I'm gonna just drive through really quick my favorite community here in Kuna, called Indian Creek Ranch. There's not too many houses left in here. I think there's about 8 lots that can be built on, and then there's 4 homes for sale in here right now. Obviously resale homes will pop up, but you guys will see in a second why it's my favorite. Some of the reasons are just the builders in here. So Tresidio Homes, I've talked about a lot. They're a builder out here. You have Biltmore Company, Sterling Homes. So you get a number of builders, and you guys can see in a community like this with these mid-tier luxury builders, you just get a nice mix of different styles of houses. But my favorite aspect of this community, and what I wanted to show you, is these trees in the background. Indian Creek, which runs through Kuna, and I constantly refer to it as the Walmart version of the Boise River. It runs through town. So all of these houses on this backside, you get creek access. So you basically get riverfront properties all along this community. This is also the area of Kuna where you put in for the creek. So it's a creek that you can actually float. And not a ton of people know about it in Boise. Literally until I moved to Kuna, that was when I found out about it. So it doesn't get super busy like the Boise River does, but you can float the creek in Kuna and you don't have to drive all the way downtown and worry about it. It's a smaller creek. You put in right here in Indian Creek Ranch, put your tube in the water, float down to downtown Kuna, and we'll show you more of Indian Creek when we get to the downtown area, because there's some really cool aspects there that I want to show you guys. And as we're going through this video, the whole point is to give you guys an idea, actually visuals of what it's like to live in Kuna, because it's just so hard with the talking head video. And as we're driving, there's pickleball courts right here. So this is actually a city park. So anybody in Kuna can use those pickleball courts here in Indian Creek Ranch. But again, the whole point is, in a talking head video, it's just so hard to give you guys an actual perspective of what it might be like. And so as we're driving, I can show you guys what I'm talking about and just give you guys visuals as I talk about all of the pros and cons, because there's a lot more things we're gonna go into. There's some new things that have been coming to Kuna, that are going to come to Kuna, that you guys need to know to make the best decision for you guys, because as I always say, it's the most important part of moving to Boise is choosing your suburb. As you saw driving through that community, there's tons of houses there. There's another community we're gonna drive by that has more builders that are similar. The housing part is easy. These builders are gonna be in every single suburb of Boise. You're gonna find them all over the place. So finding the right house is not hard. If you like a certain floor plan or a certain style, the odds are you're gonna find it in pretty much every suburb, depending on your price point. Now, heading to where we're heading is, we're heading out towards Valor. For those of you who don't know what Valor is, it's a huge resort community. We're not gonna be able to drive through it today. But if you did want to drive through it, it would be one of the most resort communities in the whole Treasure Valley. So you have a golf course, 18 holes that's going to go private, or 36 actually. You have a par 3 course. You have pools, resort style pools. They're going to have a bar and a grill. They're going to have indoor golf simulators. Tons of things that come with that resort community, and it's absolutely beautiful. I'm gonna hang a left and start talking about some of my favorite aspects of Kuna. So as you guys can see, as we're driving and just looking around, in this video, we're only 5 minutes away from all of the grocery stores and restaurants, and now you feel like you're in the small town country farmland, and yet your house is just right down the way. And no matter where you drive in Kuna, this is what you get. And the reason for that is because Kuna is so spread out. When you look at it on a map, you can just see the area that it covers. And so it allows for developers and the growth of Kuna to spread things out, so you still get these beautiful fields, and you always are feeling like you're in a small town, even though you have more amenities than you might in Star, Idaho, or in Middleton. And like, I love just seeing the cows. So my community is right there out this back window, and I take this road a lot because I just love driving through the farmland. But I'll see pheasants out here almost every single day. There's obviously cows and horses as well. And it just gives you what you can't get in any other suburb, because you can live close to everything while still feeling like you're out here in the farmland. But one of my favorite aspects of Kuna, and as we drive, you guys are gonna see it more and more, so I'll stop talking about it. But as another example, just right over here to the left, you guys can't really see it. I'll pop up some drone footage of Lugano Terra. So that is a really popular community out here as well. It's built by Tresidio Homes, and they're building new homes right now. So they just opened up a new phase, so you can build with them, you can buy their move-in ready homes. They have a ton of RV options. Almost every single house has an RV. Then from Lugano Terra, you have a CBH community off here to the left as well, which is for your more affordable ones. Those of you who have seen some CBH videos, you know a little bit about CBH, but they build the most homes in Boise. So you have an affordable option there. So we've gone from Indian Creek Ranch, then we have a Hayden Homes community that we started in, then Lugano Terra, then we have a CBH community. So there's a wide range of options in Kuna to give you different price points, different styles, and they're all within, the same distance. And if we go to the other side of Kuna, it's gonna be the same exact situation. So lots of options, lots of opportunity. And then right after this CBH community right here, which is called Ledgestone, You have another community called Patagonia, which is another one of my favorites out here, where they're opening up a new phase, where you have another mid-tier luxury builder. So lots of communities all over the place. And from here, I'm actually gonna take you guys a little bit into Meridian. So as we keep driving down this, Meridian and Kuna butt up to each other. So we're gonna drive into Pinnacle, which is technically Meridian, but I wanna show you guys something cool. We're gonna get out and look at one of my favorite parks in the entire valley. And even though it's technically in Meridian, you guys are gonna see just how close it is, because as we drive to the park in this area, I'm gonna talk to you guys about some of the different pros and cons of Kuna. So commutes, traffic, taxes, some of the things coming. So I'll have a conversation here with you guys as we drive to the park. One of the biggest things about Kuna that is a pro, and I've kind of touched on it, is the traffic. So Kuna is 40,000 people roughly. Obviously it's growing really fast, and we'll talk more about that later. But even though it's twice the size of Star, Idaho, which for most people moving here, if you want a smaller town feel, you're pretty much gonna be debating between Kuna and Star. So even though Kuna is twice the size, it feels like it's twice as small. And the reason for that is what I talked about, where it's so spread out that you don't have the traffic. Kuna has also been the last suburb to blow up, and we're gonna talk about that here in a second, but it has given Kuna the time to plan for the growth and spread out roads, spread out communities so that you're not so jam-packed. Whereas in Star, you basically have 4 square miles where all 10, 15,000 people, 20,000 people are crammed into one small section, and it grew so fast that they didn't have the time to expand the infrastructure. So when you're in Star, it can feel a lot more crowded. With that said, the debate between the two is, I said Indian Creek is the Walmart version of the Boise River. And that's because Star gets the Boise River, whereas out here in Kuna, you do only get Indian Creek. So I'd say that is one factor that people decide between. Is in Star, you have the Boise River, so you have Freedom Park, you have the Greenbelt along the Boise River, and then in Star, you also get better foothills. So between Star and Kuna, Kuna's more flat, as you guys have probably seen as we're driving out here. So you don't get the foothills, you don't get the Boise River. That's another big difference. And then some other aspects of Kuna, as far as, obviously traffic I just talked about, but the just commute times, they're actually fairly similar to Star. So I talked about how when you look at a map, Kuna looks farther away from everything. But one thing I hear a lot of people who decide on Kuna, or Kuna is one of their top suburbs, is because Kuna is south, it's closer to the airport. So if you live on the section of Kuna we're in now, you actually only have like a 15-minute drive to the airport, because you can take these back roads. And even if you take the interstate, it's only a 20, 25-minute drive if there's no traffic. Versus in Star, you have to drive through Eagle and Boise, or you have to drive through Meridian, which is super traffic heavy. And so you just get hit with a lot of traffic, and you don't have quick, easy access to the airport. So the airport's 35 to 40 minutes if you live in Star. Versus out here in Kuna, having that 15-minute drive is really important, especially for those of you who might travel for work, or just want to be close and not have to worry in the wintertime when we get snow. Now we're pulling up to Pinnacle, so we're technically in Meridian, but this is one of my favorite areas because, as you guys have seen, we're only 5-10 minutes away from everything that is in Kuna, but we're also even closer to the interstate. We're in Meridian, and so you have 5-10 minutes to the interstate out here in the Pinnacle area. But I wanted to show you guys this park that's coming up here on the right, because it is one of the coolest parks in Meridian, or just in the whole Treasure Valley. And I wanted to show you it because it's so close to Kuna that I almost include it in the pros of living in Kuna. So driving up, you have an amazing park, and we'll get out and actually show you guys some of these things. But off here to the left, there's a fire department, but then there's also 2 dog parks. So you have a dog park for bigger dogs, and then you have a dog park for smaller dogs. That is just great to have. You have, I think, 3 softball fields, you have 3 baseball fields, There's basketball courts out here, pickleball courts out here. And then I'm gonna try and drive and walk you guys to the bike parks because it's the coolest part of Discovery Park in my opinion. I'll talk a little bit about the park while we're driving over to the bike section, but the park just opened up a Ninja Warrior course, which is a really cool story. So there is she was I believe a 4th grader, and she actually went to the school that my wife teaches at, and she got cancer. And part of going through her cancer treatments is she loved Ninja Warrior, the obstacle courses. And so while she was essentially passing away, she had terminal cancer, she did all of these fundraisers to raise money to start a Ninja Warrior course here in Discovery Park, which is where we're at. And so that just opened up a few weeks ago, which is a really cool story. She ended up passing away before it could open, but love that, you know, in her last moments, she was able to fundraise and it was actually able to come to fruition, and she was actually able to do that for other kids. So a cool aspect of Discovery Park, and just an amazing place for those of you who have kids to have access to this, you know, 5 minutes down the road from Kuna. And then obviously, if you do decide to, like if Pinnacle was a better area, or South Meridian, which is where we're at. But we're gonna hop out. I just wanna show you guys really quick, and we'll also pop up some drone footage too, but wanna show you guys the bike park and also just talk a little bit more about some of the pros and cons of parks. But what I wanna show you guys is a little bit of this bike park, but we're also gonna talk a little bit more about some of the other pros and cons of Kuna, and we'll make this part quick because I wanna give you guys an idea of the other reason we're here at Discovery Park, and that's to show you guys the distance it is to downtown Kuna, to also give you an idea of how far it is from Meridian and how quick you can get into Kuna. So let's hop out, show you guys the bike park really quick, talk about some other aspects of Kuna, and then we'll get into the best part of this video, which I think will be going downtown and showing you some of the other aspects, and then talking about some of the, I guess, the more important parts of Kuna, which is, you know, taxes, home prices, things like that, that really are non-negotiables. If you have a certain price point, or, you know, you have certain monthly expenses you need to hit, things that affect you on a more basis, or some of the things that are coming to Kuna as far as the growth and investment potential. We'll talk more about that later too, but let's jump to the bike park. Okay, now we're out here at the bike park, and you guys can see just how awesome this bike park section is. And then, don't want to get the kids on camera, but there is a dirt section right here to the left. And then as you guys can see, I mean, you have a skate park right there. You have the baseball fields, softball fields, and then that park over there is just absolutely outstanding. And this is just one of the benefits of Kuna, is the location. So you're still close to Meridian. The other side of Meridian also has Walmart, Winco, Roaring Springs. There's a Lowe's, a Home Depot, and some really good school systems, as well as some really good charter schools. So even though those aren't in Meridian, you're close enough to them that it's a 10-15 minute drive, which is absolutely outstanding to be able to be close to that. And then what is coming to Kuna, although it seems like it keeps getting delayed, is a Costco. So where we're at right now in Pinnacle, the Costco is supposed to be right in here, right about a mile down the road. And so we're gonna start leaving Pinnacle right now and just show you guys a sped up version of how far Kuna might be from Costco, but also how far Kuna is from Discovery Park and all of the things that are surrounding the South Meridian area. So let's hop back in the car and show you guys drive times, and then we'll get into the bulk of the video, which is the downtown area and all of the cool things, including some of the cons and the things that I actually don't like about Kuna. So we want to make sure that you guys have valuable information that also includes the things that are cons and things that you really want to watch out for, and that might not just fit you and your family. So let's jump back in the car. Now we're back to Ridley's, and this is where I want to show you guys the wraparound to the downtown area. So we'll drive you past Ridley's again, which is where we're passing now. But as you guys saw, I mean, even if you're driving out to Kuna, it just feels like a small town, but it's also really quick. So where Discovery Park was at Pinnacle was almost to the interstate. So if you add another 4 or 5 minutes to this drive, that's what you would have been to the interstate or Winco, Water Park, Walmart, all of those things. So it's really quick access. Now we're out here out front, we're passing Ridley's and all of this again. So I want to show you guys up front and give you guys an idea of, this is probably the most common drive that you do in Kuna that gets you to everything downtown, Indian Creek, all the restaurants, and then we're also going to pass some more grocery stores. And as we're going around this corner, some of the housing prices things, so in Kuna compared to Star, again, Kuna is going to be more affordable, especially recently. Star has gotten to a point to where it's basically like an Eagle or Meridian, where the median value in Star is going to be in the 600,000s, whereas Kuna is in the mid 4s to high 400,000s. So you get a lot more home out in Kuna. It's a lot cheaper. One downside to the housing out here is there's not a lot of opportunity for acreage properties in Kuna. So you do have opportunities for it, but it's just not as much as you do in Star, Middleton, and Eagle. So if you do want an acreage property, you do kind of have to look in that area. Now we wrapped around the corner. We're getting into, I guess, the older section of Kuna. So you have Domino's, Les Schwab, there's a Walgreens here to the left. There's a really good coffee shop here to the left. And then off to the right, which you'll see here in a second, you have Albertsons, which is very similar to Ridley's, but it's just so much more expensive. Albertsons is the most expensive grocery store in the valley. And so most of the time we don't go here unless we need specific things that Albertsons has, or it's just, you know, a convenience thing, but Albertsons will be right there. And that's almost all of it until we get into Kuna. So we're gonna pull up here to Indian Creek, and then I'm actually just gonna walk you guys through downtown, through Indian Creek, and show you guys pretty much all of it. Before we get to it though, right here off the right, I'll show you guys. So you get some of these food trucks, and then you also get this white tent that you guys are about to see is an organic just market, and then right next to it is a Thai food truck, and it's a really good Thai place. But that little tent there, it's cool to have basically a market. What's it called, Grant?
Farmer's market?
Yes, farmer's market. Thank you. To have a farmer's market 24/7 all the time. You can go in there, grab vegetables. They have really good pies. They have, you know, actual raw milk, raw cheese. So a lot of cool things there to give you more of that small town feel. And then right here, there's the famous tower that you guys can see in Kuna. We might have to pop up some drone shots so you guys can see it better. But that'll be the downtown area. But I'm gonna park here where part of this walking trail along Indian Creek goes so that you guys can see the creek, and then we'll work our way into downtown Kuna and show you guys some of the great things as we're talking about a lot of these things with Kuna, especially the cons. I still want to go over what's bad about Kuna. I've talked a lot about what's good and what's cool, and giving you guys some perspective. So we'll walk the creek and talk about those, and this creek's awesome. So let's hop out and take a look. Okay, now we're on the creek, but right here it goes more miles that way, and then it extends farther into Kuna this way. So we're gonna walk this direction along the creek to show you guys what it's like, and then we'll work our way into downtown. But absolutely love this creek. Again, like I said, you can float it, so this is actually where you would get out. So Indian Creek Ranch, that community we went through, is where you would get in to float the river, and then you'd get out here and park where we just parked. You can fish this. There's some secret fishing things that those of you who like to fish and hunt, reach out to me personally. I might share some of the little secrets I know, but really cool spot. And in the winter, Indian Creek does drop its water. So it is a natural creek, but it is highly involved with the irrigation system. And so, get out of the way. I'll go around. No, thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah. You're good. Cute puppy. Thank you. Yep. I mean, even just little interactions like that. So I'll touch on this since that just happened. Kuna, one thing just in general in Boise, the number one thing we hear is just how kind people are. I'd say every time somebody visits here from California, Washington, wherever it may be, as soon as they get here and we meet up, the first thing they say is just how nice the people are and how welcoming and helpful. And so, love the people here in Boise. How are you guys doing? And in Kuna, I think it's even more apparent. It's truly a small town. You truly get people who want to get to know you, get to learn who you are. I remember the first time me and my wife actually moved to Kuna officially. We were walking the creek here, and an old lady stopped us and started chatting. One of the first questions she asked is, "Do you guys have guns?" To make sure we, fit into the small town feel, which is just kind of funny. And I guess that might be one of the first cons of Kuna, is if you aren't ultra conservative, you don't want your guns, even just having a relationship with God, things that come along with being conservative, you might not get along with a lot of people out here. If that's the case, around the Boise area or maybe even Eagle might be a better fit for you. And part of that too is if you are a person that wants a small town, but you still really want to be close to a lot of the things to do. So you're a busybody, you like to be hiking, you like to be going to restaurants, you like to be going to places like the Village and Meridian, you want to be going to concerts and things that are in Boise, then Kuna might not be the place for you because it is a little bit farther. You are a little bit a ways from all of the major things to do. So that would be, I'd say, another con is sometimes it is annoying if we want to go to the Boise River or we want to go to a concert in Boise. We do have to drive, 30, 45 minutes to get to those things, especially the hiking and mountain biking aspects. So we have this, we do have a ton of BLM land out over here. So you can take your ATVs out, you can go shoot BLM. But as far as like established hiking trails and mountain biking trails, you just don't get that in Kuna. You pretty much always have to drive all the way to Boise in the foothills. And so if you're a person like some clients I have had and they are big runners, big hikers, big mountain bikers, Kuna just was not gonna be a fit for them because it's just too far. You have to constantly drive all the way to the foothills. So another big con. But we'll start heading down to downtown here, and we might fast forward it a little bit so you guys aren't just walking. But as we're getting to downtown, gonna talk about a couple more things. So I touched on housing prices a little bit, and then we got cut off by showing you guys Albertsons and Walgreens. Kuna is a lot more affordable for now. A big aspect of that is Kuna. A reason that I personally want to live out here is the investment potential side of things. That's important to me. I want my home's value to go up higher than maybe other parts of the valley. And Kuna is one of those places that is the case. The reason for that is because a lot of the other suburbs have gotten to a point to where it's too expensive. And so people are kind of forced to come out here. And part of that is builders are shifting out here because they can actually afford to build in Kuna. And then another aspect of this is the growth of Kuna. So we have Meta or Facebook. They just built a data center out here. And then the other side of that is we just got approved for another data center. So there's going to be 2 data centers out here. Micron is actually relatively close to Kuna. Like I said, the airport's closer to Kuna than the other suburbs. And so Micron with a $15 billion investment, the 2 data centers, all of the price points starting to shift into Kuna. We're seeing a lot more people move to Kuna, a lot more commercial development, a lot more industrial development coming to this area, which is just gonna raise the price of homes even faster than the surrounding suburbs. And we're already starting to see it this year. Home prices are starting to climb a little bit faster. Now we're gonna walk over the top here, show you guys the downtown area, and talk a little bit more about some of the cons, a little bit more about some of the details, taxes, but show you guys the downtown area because it's one of my favorite parts of Kuna. But we're also gonna point out some of their cons, but my least favorite parts of Kuna, which is right next to the downtown area. So let's head over to downtown. Okay, now we're downtown. So this pink building, although it's not the prettiest building, it's one of the best breakfast places in Kuna, but also one of my favorites in the valley. It's called Pork Belly. They have amazing breakfast food there. You have the gas station here, but just as you can see the end of downtown. So when you think of driving or going on road trips and you guys drive through, you know, a really small old downtown section, this is the type of downtown that you guys think of. And it's why I love it in Kuna, because when you drive through here, you really do feel like you're in truly a small town, like you'd be driving on a road trip. So just love the aspect and showing you guys that. There's a ton of restaurants through here. One of the good ones to point out is it's called Big Mike's. They have music there. They have trivia night. They have karaoke night. It's a mix of a biker bar and then also just people in Kuna, and they have really good barbecue there. You have Idaho Pizza. You have Enrique's, which is a Mexican restaurant there, which I personally think the food is overrated. So as a local, a lot of people in Boise will literally drive to Kuna just to go to Enrique's. That's the only reason they come out here. The food itself, I do not actually like as much as other Mexican restaurants, but their tableside guac is by far the best guacamole in all of Boise. So that's the reason that I do go there. So you have a ton of stuff here downtown, you know, little things, but just want to show you guys the feel. Now, the con, or my least favorite part of Kuna, is the part that is connected to downtown. So you have an older section, older homes, a little bit more rundown communities. The crime there is also a little bit higher. There was one time where I was at the gas station and 18-year-old kid did come in and steal a couple candy bars. So nothing insane. But in this area next to downtown, you do have a little bit higher crime rates, but that's comparing it to Boise or other safe areas. If you compare the crime rates here in Kuna to anywhere else in the country, it is well below the average for safety. So love Kuna, love living out here. I don't have that many cons of living out here other than the distance to things, the Boise River, and just being far from all of the hiking trails. So lots to love about it. And if you guys have questions that you want more specific, obviously living here, I have a lot of different insights. And I've also lived in Nampa, Meridian, Star, Boise. And so I can compare the differences and what I experienced in living in those. Just reach out to me. But hopefully this gave you guys a really good understanding. One thing I didn't talk about is the taxes, which are the second lowest in the entire valley. They're right behind Star. Star's at about 0.5% and Kuna's at about 0.6%. So your property taxes on my house personally, they were $1,600 last year. So really low, and lots of things that are beneficial to Kuna. But if Kuna does not seem right for you guys, or you might have some worry, I would watch this video right here, which is why you might regret living in Kuna. Again, choosing your suburbs is the most important part, and in that video I specifically go through all of the reasons why people might leave Kuna. It's more of a information heavy talking head video, so check that one out. Appreciate you guys watching. Look forward to meeting you in person.